Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Coffee Mug. I'm Elizeta, and I'm here with my amazing co-host, Carlie Griffiths. How are you?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm so excited to be back for another episode, and today we are going to discuss dissociative identity disorder. But before we dive deeper, our disclaimer.
Yes, so I'm sure you guys know all about it now, but we are going to refresh it for you. We are not medical professionals, and the knowledge we are sharing is based on our experience and research. The purpose of our podcast is to purely educate others and ourselves. Please talk with a medical professional or someone close to you for diagnosis or help. Elizeta is going to talk to you about the key indications of what is dissociative identity disorder and the key indications of DID.
Thank you, Carlie. Yes, so according to SANE Australia, DID or Dissociative Identity Disorder used to be called Multiple Personality Disorder. It is a rare and complex psychological condition where a person's identity is fragmented into two or more distinct personality states called alters. These alters may have different patterns of thinking, feeling, or acting, and they might be different genders and ages. If you have DID, you might have a main identity that feels more like you, and that identity is called the host. Each of your identities might have its own memories and experiences that may differ from the ones of the host identity. A person with DID does not have control over the different identities that take over, and when that happens, you may have amnesia and not remember what happened when the other alter was in control. According to Mind, dissociative identity disorder is not a personality disorder. It is a result of a natural way of coping with sustained childhood trauma. With that being said, you can understand that people with DID often suffer from other disorders such as PTSD, depression, suicidal thoughts, insomnia, or generally sleep problems, obsessive-compulsive symptoms, psychotic symptoms. However, each person is different. They have a different range of symptoms. Some are more obvious than others and can be distinguished, but others are not. So be kind, you never know what another person is going through. We always say that, and I just want to put it out there and remind you guys. But before we discuss more about DID, I just feel like I need to share some facts and just common myths about this disorder. People with different alters can't control their other personalities. They can't call them at will. DID happens because it is a way of surviving and dealing with trauma. It is not a play. It is not fake. I was reading some experience of people who have this disorder, and they were saying how some people don't take this seriously at all, and they think that this is a game, which is not. Like, how can you think that this is fake? I really don't understand that. It is a coping mechanism, and it is very difficult to some people to live with it. Another common misconception is that DID is the same as schizophrenia, which is absolutely not true. As we have discussed in the previous episode, schizophrenia is a psychotic disorder. You experience paranoia, hallucinations, and delusions. It is completely different. DID has nothing to do with that, as the people who have it are not hallucinating or are being delusional about their alters. Building on that, people think that DID patients are violent and dangerous, which is absolutely not true. Again, people with DID are as violent and dangerous as the people without it or with any other disorder. Please understand that, because someone who has a disorder doesn't mean that they are a threat to society or to you. Remember that most people are most likely to harm themselves first rather than harming someone else. Just please, this is not true. Like, please remember that. So I'm going to pass on to the causes. The main causes of dissociative identity disorder vary. As mentioned before, dissociation is a coping mechanism to help deal with trauma. By dissociating painful memories from everyday thought processes, a person can maintain a level of functioning as though the trauma had not occurred, like never happened. Even if the environment that you're in is no longer traumatic and harmful to you, you might develop this disorder in order to protect yourself from the experiences and memories. Based on the information of the Mind website, dissociation is used a lot to survive complex trauma over a long time and during childhood when the brain and personality are developing. Examples of trauma which may lead to dissociative disorder include physical abuse, sexual abuse, severe neglect, emotional abuse. Now, Carlie, would you like to tell us about the treatment?
Yes, of course. So many people with DID make a full recovery, and treatment and support include talking therapies. Talking therapies are often recommended for DID patients. The aim of talking therapies, such as counselling, is to help you cope with underlying causes of symptoms and to learn and practice techniques to manage the periods of feeling disconnected. There are no specific medicines to treat dissociative identity disorder, but medicines like antidepressants may be prescribed to treat associated conditions like depression, anxiety, and panic attacks. So guys, if you're worried that someone you know may be considering negative coping mechanisms or something extreme, please encourage them to talk about how they are feeling. Listening is the best way to help. Try to avoid offering solutions and try not to judge. If they've been previously diagnosed with a mental health condition such as depression, you can speak to a member of their care team for help and advice. If you have dissociative identity disorder, getting help and support is an important part of the recovery process. Talking to your partner, family, and friends about how your past experiences have affected you can help you come to terms with what has happened, as well as helping them understand how you feel. Mental health charity Mind, which we've talked about a lot in today's episode, has more information on dissociative identity disorders and a list of support and organisations. Reading about other people with similar experiences might also help you put in a positive mindset.
Well, thank you so much, Carlie.
It's all good. Yeah, I think it was really important to learn about this today.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I just want to mention that what we talked about, there's like a lot more but if you're interested to learn a little bit more about dissociative disorders, we'll be more than happy to do an episode for that. And I'm just going to name some of the...
Yeah, of course, definitely. I think it's really important to learn more.
Yeah. So depersonalization or derealization disorder, dissociative amnesia with fugue, which I didn't know what it was. Like, I've never heard of it. But in a few words, is basically when you forget completely who you are, and you might travel to a new location and act like a completely different person, like a new person. Other specified dissociative disorder, OSDD, which is when you might have some symptoms that don't fit into any other diagnosis. And unspecified dissociative disorder, UDD, which means that the person that has done this diagnosis might not have enough information to make a full diagnosis, and the symptoms also don't fit any other diagnosis. So if you're interested in any of these, please let us know and we can make an episode about that. And just like to close this episode, I think it will be really nice to talk about the movie Split, which is like a very prime example of dissociative disorder.
Yes, so with Split, the main actor is called James McAvoy. Now, Split is a film that came out in 2015 with the age rating of 15 and a star rating of 77% on Rotten Tomatoes. So Split received a lot of positive feedback, while it also received the same amount of negative feedback.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure if you've watched it, but it is about the same gentleman with multiple different alters.
Yeah.
So he presents these alters through the film due to different reactions to different scenarios, which, as we've heard here today, is how people react with DID. So it definitely does present it correctly that way, although they are very dramatized. Yeah. What do you think about the film?
Yeah, I have watched it and I was like shocked when I first watched it, but like in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm saying that James McAvoy is a great actor and he really did like a great job with his role.
Mm-hmm.
It was scary and I feel like I'm not sure, I haven't had the chance to meet a person with DID, but I feel like it's a little bit dramatized. Like maybe
definitely, I really don't think. Whereas that was a psychological film. So the film was meant to make you think a lot. It was meant to cause make you a bit more weary and stuff. I think it did shed light on the illness, but I also do think it caused more people to be a bit more suspicious about the illness.
Yeah, and scared. And that's one of the reasons why I mentioned that people with DID are as violent as anyone. And it is not true. I feel like it gave like maybe this negative impression of people with DID, and I don't think that's really nice.
No,
you
definitely.
know?
I think showing such a complex disorder like DID in a movie can be really difficult. And unless it's put in a way of we're educating people and we don't want to cause offense, I think it's always going to have that some level of, oh my God, maybe they shouldn't have done that. Or maybe they should have done that in a slightly more sympathetic or empathetic way.
Yeah, definitely.
But I do actually think if you guys wanted to check it out, it is definitely a film that you should look at. But you need to watch it lightheartedly and know that it isn't an accurate representation of what it's like to live with the illness, but maybe of how people can have different alters. So I think on one hand it's good because it does show you how different alters are, but at the same time it's not so good because it doesn't really shed light on the educational factors of this condition.
Yeah. And apart from that, don't forget it's a Hollywood movie. I'm just gonna leave that there. Not to like shade them or anything, but it is what it is. It's a Hollywood movie. They dramatize everything. They just make it really, really big. I'm not doubting that people out there might have this kind of alters, but still, we never know. People are different, situations are different, and just if you want to learn a little bit more, you can watch that. Or there are so many different YouTube videos that are online, and you can see people talking about their mental illness and their own conditions, or educate yourself further. I watch a bunch of videos and I had the chance to like read different comments on a YouTube section on a video, and it was saying that how many people are treated with DID. It is so annoying to see that so many people have so many different misconceptions about this disorder, and I feel like it's really important to educate ourselves on that, and again, remove the stigma of these kind of groups, because it is there, it's happening, and it's 2021. We need to change that.
Definitely. I think that's the key message that we want you to take away from this. Remove the stigma, and it's not a Hollywood film.
Definitely not. Definitely not. All right. Thank you so much for listening to another episode. We're so glad you're here with us today, and we hope to see you next week with a new episode. Might be something similar with what we're doing today or something different. You'll find out. Please reach out to us through our socials: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, website, Coffee Mac Podcast. You can reach individually, Elizeta Pedotti, Carlie Griffiths. And we love you. Have a lovely day. See you next week.